It's like 30 years ago I did talk radio in Columbus, Ohio.
Very good. Okay.
Before talk radio.
Yes, before talk radio. We can talk about that too. Okay.
Sure.
Here we go. And the video stream is going. The audio stream is now live. If you do not see the video stream appearing on the screen in a couple of seconds, you can just reload the page and it should come up.
Freedom Talk Radio.
Yep. And here we go.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the Freedom Talk Radio 2013 Network, and you are listening to Surrounded by Idiots.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
From beautiful Saline in southeastern Michigan.
Around the world at sunsky.mysteries.com.
This is the 2009 Top 10 Webcam in the World winner. This is FEPV.
Good evening, everybody. Today is Saturday, November 16th, 2013, and unlike most weeks, I actually remembered what the date was tonight. We are live on the air with our, I believe this is the third episode that we are doing on Saturday nights. It is working out splendidly so far because it gives me an entire day to do some extra preparation for the show. A lot of you have been sending me emails and whatnot and communicating with me on Facebook, and I have some excellent news. My brother is an expat living in the Philippines. He is married to a Filipino national who is an excellent school teacher, and they went through the typhoon that went through the Philippines. The day after the typhoon went through there and we started learning about the damage, I went to the Red Cross website and I donated some money to the Red Cross, and I also sent them an email that I have a brother living over there and we haven't been able to make contact with him. Next I contacted the State Department and I talked to some very nice people at the State Department, and they directed me directly to the consulate over in Manila, and I talked to them, and they were attempting to locate my brother. And 2 days later, I believe that would be on Tuesday of this week, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, I got an email from my sister-in-law that said they were safe, they were alive, and they were okay. And we have been communicating ever since, and I'm going to tell you from an eyewitness report that I have from my sister-in-law, who has lived in the Philippines all of her life. She's a native there. But the situation there is worse than horrible. The way she describes it, the stench in the air of dead bodies rotting is unbelievable. The aid shipments up until, this may have been corrected by now, but the aid shipments have been attacked by the rebels there. There was one aid shipment that they attempted to hijack. Unfortunately for them, the rebels, that is, there were some Marines and the Filipino military, and it didn't end well for the rebels. There have been people dying trying to get into warehouses and walls collapsing on them, trying to get to the rice and everything. And what I've been doing is I've been sending money to my sister-in-law direct, and she is buying food and distributing it herself because she is a school teacher and she's taking care of the families of the kids that she teaches. So that is some pretty good news. On the medical front, my neurocardiogenic syncope is giving me a lot of problems this week because there is a cold going around where I work during the day, and as you know, neurocardiogenic syncope gives you muscle pains, and your blood pressure is not regulated, and your heart is pretty much unregulated too because it's a nerve disconnection between the brain and the heart. And it basically feels like I have the flu all the time. So I'm on some rather strong medications to keep the pain away. And when you get a cold, when you have this, it becomes almost unbearable because you get the muscle aches with the cold and the muscle aches with the NCS, and it's brutal. But I have the secret cure. I use a zinc spray, an atomizer spray called Zicam, that I spray into my throat 3 or 4 times a day. It makes food taste really bad for a couple of days afterwards, but it keeps the cold from going into my chest and my head, which is what I'm after, because it's not a good situation when you get sick with this medical condition. And now, let's go on to the main part of tonight's show, which I have been looking forward to for several weeks, as a matter of fact, since his publicist contacted me. As you know, I am now attempting to give people solutions. Rather than crying and complaining about all the problems that we have, which are many, I am looking for people, for guests, that can give us solutions and discuss with us all of the different things that are going on. This week's guest has written an excellent fictional account of the next major terrorist threat against the United States. It is called, let me get the front page of the book up here, and of course, the broadcasting computer doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. It is called The Brotherhood of the Red Nile, A Terrorist Perspective, by Mr. Dan Perkins. This book, I am about 2/3 of the way through the book. It's pretty darn good. It is a fictional account of a terrorist organization that is far more advanced than the old clunky Model T version Osama bin Laden gang, Al-Qaeda. It's written in a very believable format, taking the reader from the first dreams that the terrorists have to the sweaty palm tension that fills Homeland Security, the CIA, and FBI as they try to noodle out exactly what the terrorists are going to attempt. The name of the author is Dan Perkins, and he is with us tonight on the line, and I am going to bid him a excellent good evening to you, sir. How are you? And thank you for joining our audience.
Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Yes. What do you think of what's going on in the Philippines? Let's get that out of the way first, because that is a heck of a thing over there.
As we talked before we went on the air, it is amazing. You know, we have some neighbors here where we live who are from the Philippines, and the wife is a pediatrician, and she has family in the Philippines. And she went back for the first time in about 15 years last summer. And she was shocked at the poverty and the squalor, as she said. And it shows how the economy has not progressed, and that there are more people and more people competing for resources that are limited. So when you have a natural disaster like this, and you have high concentrations of people in shacks, unfortunately, Mother Nature can be give us terrible punishment with what she can do with her forces. And I think that's a situation that I don't know that you could prevent it. I thought it was interesting, at least from what I've been all over the country this week, and I haven't seen any of the global warming people blaming the tsunami in the Philippines on global warming. Now, I may have missed it, but I didn't see it anywhere. So it's interesting. Mother Nature does what it wants to with us, and for the most part, we are absolutely helpless to deal with it. As I said, I spent my summer and fall in North Jersey, and we had Hurricane Sandy come through here in New Jersey and just devastated the Jersey shore. Not to the extent that what happened in the Philippines, primarily because the economy and the life existence of the people in the Philippines close to the water are not resorts, but in fact are underdeveloped towns that don't have a lot of infrastructure. And when you've got an 18 to 20 foot wall of water coming at you at a very fast pace, it just destroys everything. There's no natural resistance in where they live, and it's a tragedy. But not much that we can do about that tragedy, except pray and send money and hope that the money that we send gets the proper food supplies and water and everything into those people to help them as much as they can. But when you have a natural disaster of this magnitude, I was talking to some people last week when I was down in South Florida. We have a neighbor who's a doctor who is not another doctor on our court who has been going down to Haiti, and she goes twice a year with a team of doctors to work as volunteers. They pay their own way, and she told me the last time I saw her, which was this summer, that there's not been a lot of progress between when the hurricane first hit and today. The people are getting food and water, but there's been no expansion or rebirth of the economy, and it's very depressing to her. But she still goes to try and help people. And we have different economies throughout the world that have different things going on. And when Mother Nature decides to attack us, which she does periodically, if we have the resources, we can rebuild. If we don't have the resources, we have to depend upon other nations to help us. And that's what I see going on, is there is a significant groundswell for support to provide aid to the people of the Philippines from countries all over the world, and that's a good thing.
Yes, we did the same thing with Haiti, and it really is sad that that economy there hasn't gotten back up and shaken itself off and continued on.
Right.
I know the Philippines, they have Manila, thankfully, was not heavily damaged by the typhoons, so they, at least to have their centralized national government still intact. In fact, my brother, when he moved over there, it's very interesting to talk to somebody that's used to this country that is dealing with a totally different economy. He decided what he was going to do is he was going to start an internet cafe, because so few people have computers over there.
Right.
So he built his own internet cafe, and you got to have some money you can spare. And at that time, I had more money than I do now, so I sent him $100, and $100 over there is like 10 years' wages for those people.
Yeah.
So he was able to have all the carpentry work done, buy all the computers for the store, and do a bunch of other work just for that $100. And he was amazed that the exchange rate is so skewed with those economies, and it really is. It's really something to think about.
But I heard this. I agree with what you're saying, but let me give you a different perspective. Not that I'm disagreeing with what you're saying, but I just want you to hear a perspective I heard in New York on the news today, this morning. And they're reporting what's going on in the Philippines. And they were talking about the lines at the gas station. You can't bring in your car. You can only bring containers that you can carry. So they're limiting the amount of gas that you can get. And the wait in line is like 5 to 6 hours. Food is 7 hours. Here's the irony. The third item they talk about was 5 hours to wait to charge their cell phones. So we're talking about food, and we're talking about other things, and yet at the same time, in this areas of this country which are very poor, we're talking about 5 hours to wait to charge your cell phone. So it's fascinating to me that we're dealing with that situation of charging cell phones is one of the three major areas that take a lot of time in this national disaster. So it's amazing. I wanted to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Now, I know you haven't seen Book 3 or Book 2 because Book 2 is coming out in about 2 weeks. But let me give you an analogy to see how you would react to this. We talked about the tsunami coming against the Philippines. What if you were living in the southwestern United States and a nuclear device went off in an extreme concentration of natural gas and oil pipelines that destroyed refineries and started to contaminate all of the oil and natural gas in the pipelines heading in all directions of the country. What if you had a radioactive tsunami under the ground in the United States?